Hello everybody, it's Mimberly and welcome back to Spell Candle. You guys have been really enjoying the series and that makes me really glad to hear. Like all of you I've seen in the comments have asked for multiple playthroughs, which bet. Now, I checked the Kickstarter just before I started this video. We're less than £1,000 away now from getting this game fully fledged. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you guys see this, it's fully done. But yeah, the link to the Kickstarter is in the description, so please, 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 go check it out. I'm a backer of it myself. I pledged the 47 package because it also includes a copy of the game then when it comes out. That way I don't have to pay for it twice, and I think the creators just deserve the extra credits. So, let's get straight into it. So at the moment we are questioning Aqua. So, did you notice anything unusual happening in the hours before the incident? Not really. I was too busy sleeping off a hangover. After a long night of enjoying the revelry, I helped your ambassador. His voice dipped into a softer, more melodic tune. It truly was a shame that you couldn't stay. How long into the night did the revelry continue? I don't know. I didn't stay for the whole thing. And why not? I found a better use for my time. His tone dipped into something softer, and his eyes attained that pure, raw heat that could only mean one thing. I nodded, my cheeks no doubt as bright as his eyeshadow. AKA the birds and the bees, shall we say. Why were you late on the morning of the incident? Aqua scoffed at my question. I am late only if you go by the words of Mors Mortius. If anyone else had to organize the Dread Festival this year, they wouldn't have said a word. Others can organize the festival? Of course, it is a rotating duty between all aspects. It just so happened that this year the pleasure fell on Mors Mortius' shoulders. Was there anything different between how you organized this year compared to the previous one? Oh, these are all good questions. Was there anything different between how Mors Mortius organized this year's festival compared to the previous one? I have no clue. I was delegated the task of organizing your arrival banquet, so I was fully focused on that. No wonder it was so lavish and chaotic. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? Aqua raises an eyebrow at my question. If I was thrown in at the deep end, I wouldn't go about attracting the attention of the sharks. Are you threatening me? He laughed as though I'd asked him something terribly amusing. His different coloured eyes glittered like sea glass. You Urzans are always looking for a reason for an argument or a fight. Do you not know a lot of Urzans? A few. And that's enough to draw up such conclusions? Perhaps. I do my best not to roll my eyes. Let me rephrase. Do you know of anyone who might benefit from freeing a dangerous god from her 2,000-year slumber? Could you tell me a bit more about the missing goddess, or who do you think is responsible for the incident? It's obvious Aqua does not want to say, so I'm gonna say, do you know of anyone who might benefit from freeing a dangerous goddess from her 2,000-year slumber? Excluding our enemies? I grit my teeth at his nonchalant yawn. I haven't sensed any dangerous emotions from anyone, if that's what you're asking me. I find myself uncertain of what to put down on the paper in front of me. I'm sorry, you can sense emotions? My fellow Natras call it empathy. Practically comes with the territory of holding the elven throne in the city of Amor. So you get powers from ruling a city? In return for what? Spreading peace, harmony, and love, of course. Maybe you'd let me help you explore that too at some point. Clearly, you need it more than anyone else around the festival. I roll my eyes as my cheeks flush as a blatant proposition. That was very helpful, thank you. Did you find that... I appreciate the attempt at lengthening our time together, investigator. I am a busy man. I find myself gaping at him. I wasn't... The grin he gives me as he makes to get up is downright infuriating. I should have a free time slot for you after 5 hours if you wish to continue your disquisition. You can just... But he can, and he proves that point by making his way out of the door to my small room before I can finish my sentence. And I have the infuriating need to throw my journal at the door. As I'm looking down at my notes in the first 2 sessions, churning the new information in my brain, the door to my room swings open with such violence that I reach for the dagger underneath my desk. For a second, the shadows grow deeper, darker, and I wonder if they've moved on their own before the general marches into my room unannounced. Yeah, we tried talking to the general, so I was wondering where he was. With 4 quick strides of his long legs, he reaches my desk, his tall form blocking out the rays of sun from the nearby window like a storm cloud. Uh-oh. A thick stack of papers is deposited unceremoniously onto my desk, and it takes everything within me not to wince as I notice the smudges of various shades of red and brown, along with the inky scroll upon them. I put the dagger back in its desk sheath and make up to get up and bow, but he raises a hand to stop me. I will not stay. I have taken up the task of personally questioning everyone from our delegation who prayed in front of the wax this morning. I feel the blood drain from my face as my eyes flint between him and the stack of papers before me. I clear my throat to help me find my voice. And did you find anything of note? His eyes narrowed with unfiltered annoyance. Hey, buddy. No. He turns around, heading for the door just as abruptly as he'd entered through it, each step increasing the anxiety settling on my shoulders. Oh, do we want to question him or do we want to let him leave? I kind of want to question him. Fuck it, we're questioning him. Shadow Master, with all due respect, I would also like to ask you a few questions. My breathing halts the moment his footsteps do. I remind myself to count to 10, to move, to show signs of life as he levels with me with one of his famous glares and the shadows in the room darken. To consider these 10 minutes of my time charity for a lost cause. My breathing resumes with a huff, and I am quickly reminded of my dislike for the disrespect of the ruling generals of Ares. Annoyance washes over my fear, steadying me as I flip open a new page in my journal. You've been to the Dread Festival before. Did you notice anything different in its setup this time round? The elves knew Aqua through the welcoming party last night. He reeks of trouble. I raised my eyebrow at the observation as I scribbled down the pointless answer down. Perhaps the Shadow Master used salty wine and trouble interchangeably. I wouldn't be surprised considering the stick up his ass. Could you elaborate? He's cocky and impulsive, an attention seeker with zero regard for the consequences of his actions. Could that be that he was still bothered by the way Aqua flirted with him in front of everyone? I pushed the fold down, ignoring the urge to smirk. The current Aqua has been present and active for the 2 previous Dread Festivals as well, but no incidents occurred then. I point out my tone professional, controlled, earning me a scrawl from the round before me. The Shadow Master opens his mouth, then seems to think better of what he wants to say, and closes it, glancing pointedly at the clock on my desk instead. I do my best to ignore the way that this annoys me. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? The seals placed upon the children of evil are of ancient, complicated magic. This rules all mortal simpletons from my delegation out of the list of culprits, at the very least. I pursed my lips, ignoring the stab this asshole just lightheartedly made at my intelligence as he keeps talking. Whether it is conscious betrayal or hand-guided by the anger of a god. Those who would know to unseal a tomb bound by a millennium-old spell could likely be counted on the fingers of one hand. My hand freezes mid-air. The unspoken words linger between us for a few moments before I finally press my quill to the pages of the journal again, seemingly snapping the general from his continued unspoken thoughts. His gaze flints to me and then to the space around me before he crosses his arms over his chest. His lips set into a firm line as if he knows what I'll ask him before I even open my mouth. You intend to question the gods? The Terror and his high priests and priestesses can communicate with the original gods in bits and pieces. Hi, Loki. Good morning. He had a nap. They know their intentions, their views, see the shifts of the divine web before any mortal can. You think the Terror knew this could happen? He scoffs, one foot tapping impatiently against the wooden floor. If he is as powerful as he says he is, and he should be aware of most fates woven by the fingers of gods. What do you think was the aim of whoever is responsible for the incident? These are all really good questions, I must say. This winter bore the greatest losses ever seen by this long-enduring alliance. Some would blame the elven leadership for the grave numbers. Others might blame us. Do you think someone is trying to stage up a power coup? The Shadow Master shrugs, and the action is human enough that I find myself staring. Whoever they are, only the gods can save them now, and they better pray long and hard because their chance of survival after that sorry stunt is 0. His eyes glitter like sharp ruby gems, and I recognize those words not to be a belief, but a promise. The complex web of information only seems to grow thicker and more convoluted. I hate to admit it, but the General has given me a lot to think about in the last minutes. My brain is running at 1,000,000 miles per hour as I flint between the pages of information, picking through the bits and pieces I find important. Whatever question I want to ask next, however, doesn't see the page as I hear his boots begin to move towards the door. Thank him or say nothing. Let's be nice, we're going to thank him. I glance up from my papers as he pulls the door open. Thank you for your time, General. His gaze flickers in my direction briefly as he pauses in the entryway. Do make an effort not to get yourself killed, investigator. Not everyone loves obnoxious buttons meddling around their business. Was that affection? Oh! He steps out and shuts the door behind him, leaving me staring diligently at the space he'd just left. My earlier bout of fear completely forgotten, now replaced with a warm, boiling rage slithering beneath my chest. If I wasn't in an embassy building, I would scream. What a fucking ass. Scylla, Pryor, and Lookfuck give me strength. Who do I investigate? Well, we've only got one person left, and that's going to be Tara. I tap my pen against the desk as I try to structure some sort of a plan. I am a journalist. I am a political journalist, not a detective. I should be reporting on the strong relationship between the Ares Empire and Quellen Galar. I should be watching the General, givelating alongside the aspects, drinking wine, smile politely, and just writing. Instead, I somehow find myself spearheading an investigation that could not only spark a war between two nations, but could also result in the end of my life. I can feel the nerves in my stomach like worms, eating me from the inside out. I should have skipped breakfast, and at this rate, I might skip dinner. You alright? You look like you want to murder your journal. Which I do not recommend, by the way. It looks like a nice journal. Okay. I find myself torn from my foes by a voice I'm quickly growing acquainted with. Its owner leans against the open doorway, strong arms crossed in front of his chest. I knocked several times, but he didn't respond, so I just let myself in. It took me a moment to realize that he was waiting for me to respond to his earlier inquiry. Not really. He hums, his eyes studying me briefly. His gaze was piercing, as though he could see through every little lie. Please, feel free to take a seat. I motioned to the chair in front of my desk and watched Tara's gaze flick briefly to it. Oh my god! Before moving back to me with raised eyebrow. I do not mean to be disrespectful to your ambassador's choice of furniture in saying this, but if I were to put my full weight onto that seat, I fear it won't hold another person ever again. And while I have no issue paying for those damages, I think I'd rather spare your ambassador as the embarrassment. A giggle escapes me as I process his words. He is absolutely boff. You know, we like a chonk. And I don't mean chonk in a bad way, I mean chonk in the good way. Imagining the present ambassadors rushing over to apologize to the Elves Tara for their inadequate seating arrangements sounded like something of a local comedy skit. Alright then. On to the topic at hand. Right. Did you notice anything unusual happening in the hours before the incident? No, I was preoccupied. Any particular reason? He chuckles, and the sound inexplicably takes a lot off my shoulders. Some demigod enchantment, perhaps? I was releasing some pent-up energy. Through exercise? With Aqua. on. Terra and Aqua were... My brain is screaming. I can hear you lot screaming in the comments as well. What the fuck? It takes great effort for me to keep my pen moving against the paper, but the writing turns into unintelligible scrawl as his words sink in. His expression is proof enough that he isn't teasing me. His lips are set into a firm line, his muscular arms crossed in front of his chest. After a few moments, when I'm certain my voice and expression are schooled, I continue that line of questioning. And how long were you two together for that evening? Until morning. Could you give me the exact hours? His tail twitches from behind, his eyes flickering away from me as he attempts to recall the information I need. I made sure to stay at the embassy as long as it was polite. Which was... Your general vanished around 3 AM. I followed his lead. I nod my head, a frown on my lips at the mention of my strict supervisor. Aqua left with you? He nods, and I unwittingly find myself following the movement of his short braids over his chest. And you were with Aqua until you arrived at the scene of the crime. Terra cocks an amused eyebrow at my choice of terminology. For the most part, investigator. I give him a look that demands further clarification. We separated for a shower and change of clothes at around 6 AM. I put that down word for word and move on to my other queries. Well, shit. Why were you late on the morning of the incident? Some elven business came up. Right before the beginning of the festival? When you live as long as I do, investigator, you come to realize that there's two kinds of business. There's the business you can put off, and the business you can't. Usually, if you don't handle the first, it becomes second. I try not to make that mistake. Well, that's very organized of you. I found myself smiling at his explanation. The compliment comes out accidentally, and it earns me a bright grin. Thank you. He does have a really attractive grin, I must say. His tone softens slightly, a low, warm rumble compared to his usual demanding voice. I almost find it difficult to focus on the work at hand. Are you using some kind of spell on me? Does the Dread Festival use the same agenda every year? Can you tell me any more about the elven business that made you late? When the smile on the earth aspect's face doesn't shift, his tail bristles. I've seen enough small cats to know what that means. No. Alarm bells go off in my head at the sudden shift in aura. The word rings between us in a cool, steely tone. I've hit a wall with this line of questioning. Or perhaps I realise it's simply best I just don't push it for now. Alright, my apologies. Better move on to another question quickly. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? The Terror's eyes narrow at my question, his lips pursing into a scowl. Whoever they are, they couldn't have escaped far. I've put Omnis into lockdown. No one can leave or enter. That wasn't my question. His eyes, like molten gold, slid to me, and for a split second, I can imagine what it was like to be this man's enemy. To stand against a man who could move a mountain. Literally. Someone or something that wishes to weaken us, to drive fear into the hearts of our people. And when I find them, I will tear them to pieces with my bare hands and let them rot on the altar of celebration until the crows have picked the meat clean from the remains and the barats have dissolved the bones with their shit. Very descriptive. It takes me a moment to close my mouth and remember to write this down. Silence stretches out between us, and the only sound of ink on paper before I look up at the demigod before me, another question in mind. Is there any chance that one of yours would trick? He's going to say no, so I'm going to say, what could anyone hope to gain from ruining the opening ritual? Attempting to sow the seeds of panic and fear into our people is futile. Most of them have lived too long and are too emboldened by their love, faith, or hope to truly let one minor attempt on their lives shake centuries of mental and emotional training. So you believe the goal of the events is purely to free the goddess? That, or to shake Mors Mortius' position in our society? I pause, having completely missed this angle. Why would anyone attempt to damage the reputation of your demigod of death? Everyone tends to fear what they cannot understand and hates what they cannot control. Mors Mortius has saved many lives, turned this district of death and afterlife into a sanctuary for survivors of the Eternal War. And this is a problem? I feel a semblance of horror crawl up my spine at the implicated alternative. Some would call it a weakness. Would you? I call it hope. And I find it necessary. His undaunted response warms me, smothering the chill of horror with reassurance. A knock comes on the door, breaking us away from our session. Oh God. The terror's eyes move from the door to me, his lips pursed as he steps away from it. For a man so famous for his control, I'm sure he had no problem giving it away. I'd half expected him to answer before I blinked. Come in. The door creaks open and I find myself looking at a handsome, lift silverhead elf who offers the Tara a low blow. Allura? You are needed in the square to help us set up the fire dancing festival, Natra. Of course, I'll be right there. Though I am annoyed by the interruption, I nod my head when Tara's gaze returns to me. I will see you at the fire dancing, then investigator. Do you have appropriate clothes for the event? I find myself caught off guard by the question. I'll have some sent to your room before tonight then. Are you always buying strangers whole new wardrobes? Usually, only those that ask nicely. His grin stirs in me something fierce. Natra, I'm coming, Allura. Ha. Okay. So that's the full demo. Now, I'm not going to lie. I wish I just stuck it out last episode, that we could have done it as a nice two-part series. But honestly, I am really enjoying this game. So it definitely seems that if we kind of push down one route, we're not going to get too far with them as of yet. But obviously this is a demo. And just a friendly reminder that the Kickstarter for this game is obviously going on at the moment. I will load up the Kickstarter now just so I can check how the progress is looking at the time of me recording this video. So if you see like the lighting slightly change, that'll be because I'm loading it up in the background. But I do genuinely think that this has such good potential. Like, okay, here we go. So I've loaded up a spell candle. This is the this is their official page. As you can see, I'm a backer. I've pledged $47, which is about £34 in UK. And as at the moment, we are, let's see, so we've got £18,174. That is my camera. That is the wrong app. I'm trying to load up my calculator. So there's a total of £18,601 in UK. Let's convert that. So we've got about £427 left to go. We've got 3 days to do it from the time of recording this. So by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be on its last day. I really do hope that we hit this goal because this game has just got such good potential. And I must say that from a content creator's perspective, I'm going to talk about this game a little bit because now I've played the full demo, I can give my thoughts fully. First off, artistic design, amazing. The artists and the people behind the visuals have done a very good job of giving this game a very unique look. I do not know any games on top of my head that look like Spell Candle, and I do think that the artists have absolutely smashed this. Second, the story is really intriguing. We've freed some sort of goddess, and we're questioning 4 very attractive individuals to try and figure out who it is. Now, my initial gut does tell me, unfortunately, I do think it's either Aqua or Terra, but that is obviously because Aqua was being all secretive, and then we found out that Terra and Aqua were relieving each other the night of the goddess going missing, and we don't have a third party to kind of verify their alibis. They only kind of cover each other. So unless a third party shows up that can say that they saw them to, like, you know, being there and then not coming back until later, I'm not sure if we can fully believe it. I don't think our general would have any reason to do it. It's like the Shadow Master. But at the same time, we haven't really had a proper chance to really get to know Mors Mortius very well. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I definitely will be like kind of diving in on the other characters. But at the moment, my favorite, I'm going to say, is the general. He just kind of gives me those sort of vibes that I like. But Terra's a very close second. I don't know what it is about him. Something about him is intriguing me, and I can't wait to learn more. So I really hope this game does get to where it needs to be, and yeah, hopefully it smashes it, because if it does, we've got a great game on our hands. But yeah, I will be doing more playthroughs of this. I will probably do the next ones as full episodes, so from the beginning of the demo all the way to the end of the demo, just because a lot of it will probably be replays. So I might just keep those in just in case there's any dialogue changes or just to help spread awareness about the game. But yeah, this was really fun to do, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed playing it. So yeah, see you guys soon. Bye!